Good afternoon, everyone. It is 12:36 p.m. on Friday, August 7th, 2026. I am calling to order the meeting of the Santa Clara County Human Trafficking Commission. My name is Betty Young. I will be your chair today. And so to the clerk, will you please call roll to ensure that we have a quorum?
Commissioner Silver is absent. Commissioner Valeros? Present, thank you. Commissioner Villa? Absent. Commissioner Ugalde? Present, thank you. Commissioner Little? Absent. Commissioner Cisneros Jones? Absent. Commissioner Staff?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Gomez? Absent. Commissioner Oliver? Absent. Commissioner Spears? Absent. Commissioner Dwyer? Absent. Commissioner Lagergren? Absent. Commissioner Field? Absent. Commissioner Flores?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Silvertop?
Present.
Commissioner Danoa? Present. Present, thank you. Commissioner Duan?
Present.
Commissioner Candelas? Absent. Commissioner Collins? Present, thank you. Commissioner Moran? Absent. Commissioner Gilmore? Absent. Commissioner Park?
Here.
Commissioner Green?
Present.
Commissioner Gonot? Absent. Commissioner Moreno?
Present.
Commissioner Yu? Absent. Commissioner Carmenio?
Present.
Commissioner Arenas? Absent. Commissioner Johnson? Absent. Commissioner Doughty? Oh, Michael Doughty. Present. Thank you. Commissioner Rosen?
Here.
Commissioner Capps? Present. Thank you. And Co-Chairperson Young?
Here.
Present.
right.
You have a quorum.
Fantastic. We get to have the meeting. Again, everyone, welcome to our commission meeting. I serve as co-chair alongside District Attorney Jeff Rosen and Sheriff Bob Johnson, who is represented by Under Sheriff Doty today. Thank you, commissioners, for taking the time and making it out. And for many of us in the room, welcome back from the July recess. I hope that everyone's rested and ready to take on the world together. At this time, we're going to go to our first item on the agenda, which is public comment. This item is reserved for persons who wish to address the commission on any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of this commission that is not on the agenda today. So, Camille, I'm going to turn to you to see if there are any members of the public who wish to provide public comment at this time.
We have one request to speak online.
One request to speak online. We're going to do 1 minute for that. Thank
minute?
you.
Okay.
And we're going to close the queue as soon as the first speaker begins speaking. So last call for anyone in chambers or anyone online for public comment. All right, may proceed.
All right. Our speaker is Parent. You will have 1 minute to speak. Please go ahead. We see that your microphone, that you're unmuted, but we cannot hear you. Can you try again, Parent?
Good afternoon to you.
There you go.
all.
Thank you.
I don't know if you guys have read, but there was an article recently in Marin Confidential that indicated that Jeff Rosen is associated with Les Wexner, and that he'd been part of his organization, his foundation. He has a position in it, and I believe
We are just checking, Parent. It seems that we cannot hear you. I think there may be some technical difficulties. How would you like to proceed?
The public commenter identifies themselves as parent.
Yes.
Right. Parent.
oh, can you hear me?
There we go. Okay, you have 25 seconds. We paused your clock for you, parent.
Yeah, I don't believe that it's appropriate for Jeff, for Mr. Rosen to be associated with Les Wexner. You can see it online. He's been associated with this foundation, even after that Mr. Epstein was arrested a second time. Please look into this. He shouldn't be on this commission. Thank you for your time.
That concludes public comment.
Thank you. And before we continue with our agenda, I'd like to also recognize Ruth Shikata. Is Ruth in the room with us today? Hey, Ruth, you've had a big year. All right, Ruth Shikata, Vice President of Government and External Affairs for the Bay Area Host Committee, who is joining us today. The Bay Area Host Committee has played an important role in bringing and supporting major sporting events in our region, including a little-known event called Super Bowl and the 2026 FIFA World Cup, while coordinating with local governments and community partners. Ruth, thank you so much for being here. I would like to invite you to briefly introduce yourself and share more about the host committee's role in bringing these major events to the Bay Area and any reflections you feel would be helpful for us to hear. And while you're making your way, I want to thank you for a fantastic year of sports. My family definitely had a great time.
Thank you very much. Again, I'm Ruth Shikata from the Bay Area Host Committee. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon with you all. The Bay Area Host Committee is a nonprofit organization that is charged with bringing major sporting events here into the region, into the Bay Area. Our purpose, our charge is really to seek a positive economic and societal impact by bringing these events here. And I'm hoping that we achieve that for both Super Bowl and for World Cup. That there's been a lot of positive energy that's been happening here in the Bay Area. Along with that, though, we know that there are ongoing issues that are highlighted during these major events, such as human trafficking. And so I'm here today really just to be supportive of the efforts here of this commission and all the community organizations that do really the day-to-day hard work as it relates to combating the issues of human trafficking. And so our role during the two events is to be really supportive of organizations, law enforcement and community organizations in their efforts. And what we've tried to do is to amplify messaging as well as to try and channel some grant funding into community organizations to help do their work on a day-to-day basis. So thank you again for having me, and thank you for the introduction.
Ruth, thank you so much for your work and for being here. Oh, before you leave, I'm going to see if there's any member of the commission who would like to provide any feedback or comment or words. I think we all had a great year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next, I'm going to call on Commissioner Park.
Yeah, so I guess I just put the mic, but there's other buttons there. I
Oh,
have
yeah,
no
you hit the
idea.
mic button, the little light goes on, and then if I don't see it, you wave me down.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, as a council member from the city of Santa Clara, we've had a lot of really long relationship with Ms. Shikata. And I'm going to say I think that the events that we've had this year have been very successful. My concern is, again, we have big events often open themselves to big problems. And I think that we've had with support from the county, support from the Office of Protocol, support from all the different agencies. I think that things went really well without a hitch. And again, I think that's the hidden issues that we see underneath, the reason that we're having this committee, with this meeting right here, that I'm concerned about. But I want to, again, let everyone know that from the city perspective, the events went really well. I want to thank the Bay Area Host Committee for your involvement for bringing the events to us. And hopefully we can make the events better and safe for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Park. I'm going to do one last scan for any additional commissioners who'd like to provide any comment or feedback. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Ruth, for being here. And of course, thank you for the great work that you and the committee did. All right, so at this time, the next item on the agenda is approval of the consent calendar, and is also the time to discuss any changes to the commission's agenda. I'm going to turn to my co-chairs, District Attorney Rosen, Under Sheriff Doty, if there are any changes to the agenda.
No.
None. No changes. And so I have no changes to the agenda either. Before we make a motion to approve the agenda and consent calendar, I'm going to turn to Camille to see if there are any members of the public who wish to speak on the consent calendar items or any items on consent.
We have one request to speak online.
Okay, we're going to do 1 minute.
1 minute, all right. Parent, we are unmuting you. You will have 1 minute to speak.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I totally agree with the November 6th being a good day for the next meeting. But I just ask that if we could exclude Jeff Rosen from the meeting because I don't believe that he's doing a good enough job with preventing sex trafficking or addressing it. And I just think it would be inappropriate for him to be part of that meeting. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and that concludes public comment.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar and agenda.
Move for approval of the consent calendar.
Motion made by Commissioner Dwan. Is there a second? Second, thank you, by Commissioner Green. And all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? In the eyes of the chair, the ayes have it. A calendar, consent calendar and agenda approved. Fantastic. Okay. We are now moving on to item 4 on the agenda, which is receive report from the Office of the District Attorney relating to the Santa Clara County Human Trafficking Task Force operations during the 2026 FIFA World Cup. We'll be receiving a presentation from Lieutenant Singleton on behalf of the District Attorney's Office. Lieutenant, whenever you're ready.
Great, thank you. Let me just pull up a slide deck here. All right. Hopefully this will display. My name is Josh Singleton. I'm a lieutenant with the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office, Bureau of Investigation, and commander of the Santa Clara County Human Trafficking Task Force. Presented on the screen, not sure if it's showing correctly here. All right, I'll go ahead and continue. Sorry for any if it's not showing properly on the screen. This slide here might look familiar from our report out after Super Bowl. As we just heard, and everyone's aware, we had these major sporting events come to our region in 2026, massive impact in our county. We were just talking about this yesterday, but we're the only area that's had back-to-back massive events within a 4-month period, with Super Bowl being in February and then FIFA World Cup events being held here over the summer. We had over 65 different agencies that we partnered with. We took a regional approach similar to how we did for Super Bowl efforts. We wanted to cast a wide net. We wanted to identify and recover and offer services to as many victims as possible of human trafficking, as well as identify those traffickers that were exploiting victims across geographical boundaries. So honestly, it was a very, very much similar setup to how we did it for Super Bowl. We had one joint regional operations center that was housed here in Santa Clara County. We had 11 different Bay Area counties that came and worked under that one joint regional operations center. There was 5 subgroups, one of law enforcement to include local, state, and federal. There was a subgroup for prosecutors, a subgroup for advocates, subgroup for analysts, and a subgroup for our DFCS and CPS social workers. So the data, I'll focus my presentation today just on some stats with just the asterisk, as we all know from the work we do here, that these stats are certainly not representative of all the work that was done, nor are we relying on these stats as a way to really kind of demonstrate the work. Like, we really, really want to encourage everyone to think about the work we do as in lives changed, right? We're really focused on that. And so if we can make a difference in one person's life, that's what matters. So that's the caveat with the stats. The reporting period that you're gonna see the stats for is from June 5th through July 2nd. The Joint Regional Operations Center was open from June 9th through July 2nd. It was open daily during that period from roughly 11 a.m. in the morning until midnight on most days. However, there were some days that we had gone till 2 in the morning, and then a couple occasions where we had gone till 4 or 5 in the morning. The stats here collected were collected by our task force coordinator, Jen Cooch, along with a strong partner of ours, which is the Northern California Regional Intelligence Center, otherwise known as NCRIC. It's a fusion center that provided a lot of the analytical support and organized the analytical efforts for these events. So displayed here are some of the partners that we worked really closely with that I highlighted. Again, I said there was over 65 different agencies that we partnered with, but these are some of the ones that were really instrumental, that were kind of in there day in and day out. We utilized a platform again called TRX, which is the Threat Reporting Exchange. That was the platform that we used to communicate information, to gather intelligence, and to disseminate. That TRX platform worked very well. We had over 1,000 different communications that occurred during this period to discuss tips, leads, sharing of information, and TRX worked well. We were kind of the first users to use that program during Super Bowl. Because of the success of that, they rolled it out nationally and actually internationally for the FIFA games, with over 4,300 users across the United States, Canada, and Mexico that were utilizing this platform. So just proud to be part of those efforts. And again, really demonstrate and highlight the lead that Santa Clara County has taken in this effort to combat trafficking. There was a total of 66 operations conducted during this time period. We recovered 53 adult potential victims that were referred to services by our service provider organizations throughout the region. Again, these are stats from throughout the entire region, the 11 counties. I'll bear into Santa Clara County here in just a minute. 53 adults and then 11 juveniles, all for commercial sex trafficking. We were looking at labor trafficking investigations as well. We had one significant labor trafficking case occurring down in the southern portion of our county. That case is still open and being investigated. 27 traffickers were arrested for felony violations of either pimping, pandering, and/or human trafficking. We also did an aggressive effort to reduce demand, and we had cited out 43 commercial sex buyers through a bunch of different operations. Here's a breakdown, kind of talks about the stats by county. These are the operations that were conducted. Obviously, Santa Clara County, we ran a massive amount with 47. Much of those were conducted in some 290 or sex registrant sweeps that were led by the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office that we helped support analytically and in personnel. If we look at operation stats by date, again, small slide, but just want to kind of show how this started. So beginning really around June 5th, and we carried it all the way through with the majority of the operations happening at the end of it. I will say as a takeaway, comparing and contrasting this to Super Bowl, this was a massive lift because of the length of time. Super Bowl, we had our operations center open for a 12-day period. This one was nearly a month or 3 weeks, and it definitely, it was a heavy lift, but our teams maintained that momentum all the way through the events. Here's a breakdown that talks about stats by the date of the week. Again, these are operational stats. For some reason, we did a lot of ops on Tuesdays. I'm not sure that the significance of that. I should also mention, too, that a lot of these stats are still being examined, right? There was a lot of data coming in, massive amounts of data. There's a lot to glean from this, so this is certainly not all comprehensive, and these still need to be looked at to identify trends and other patterns. When we look at about the number of victims that were recovered by county, here in Santa Clara County, we had the most. We also ran the most amount of operations, and because the events were centered here, that doesn't seem to be super unusual. Again, I think there's still a lot of analysis that needs to be done with these numbers, but kind of show you a breakdown with Santa Clara County and San Francisco, no surprise being the highest number of victims recovered in those counties. I want to highlight this slide. One of the takeaways, I mean, there's a lot of lessons learned from this, and we were tracking the location of our victims. We wanted to know where these victims came from. Were these victims that were here local in Santa Clara County? Were they from the greater Bay Area region? Were they from other parts of the state of California? Were they from other states or international? We were able to gather some of that data, but due to an oversight really in the system where we had end users kind of entering data, we didn't capture, it was an optional field where end users were documenting where our victims and suspects and commercial sex buyers were coming from. So I can't report that now. However, we will be able to shortly. We're just going to have to go locate originating documentation, but that'll give you a better idea about where our victims had come from. But from the ones that we recovered, we have, again, about half, we have location data for about half of them, and you can see that 17 were here local, that 9 were from California, but outside the Bay Area. So again, no surprise based on data we've collected that victims will travel or be forced to travel by their traffickers. We saw some from out of state and then some international as well. Okay, so process tips. I'll focus on this slide for a second. We processed a total of 99 tips, but I want to put an asterisk on this. These were 99 tips that had been vetted. Like there was hundreds, if not thousands of tips that had come in, but these were ones that had been vetted that were actionable. Some of the tips we received were from tipsters that were providing information that was either there wasn't enough for us to work with, but these were 99 that were like really heavily worked on by the over 50 different analysts that had worked on this initiative. We see some of the different organizations and departments that had reported tips to us. I want to just highlight In Our Backyard for a second. In Our Backyard was a community, well, it's a nonprofit that we worked with. They do outreach in convenience stores as one area of their work, and they also do some intelligence workups in partnership with a group called Securus and reviewing human trafficking by incarcerated inmates. And they provided us a lot of tips and data. And they didn't just do it here, they did it in New Jersey as well. So thankful for the support that they provided. They provided tips that were actionable that led to recoveries and arrests. Tips received by date of the week. Again, Tuesdays seem to be high. We still need to analyze why that's the case. Time of day, it was heavily between 6 and 9 p.m. and then 12 and 3 in the afternoon, but really 6 and 9 was the heaviest time that we received those tips. We received a lot of requests for information. Request for information is a little bit different than a tip in the sense that this is like an agency, a law enforcement agency or another government organization that was reaching out, requesting intelligence information or us to do workups on their behalf. So there's some breakdowns of that. And then I'll wrap up with just a couple key findings. Obviously, we had the largest number of operations with San Francisco close behind us. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. We obviously had the events here, but San Francisco was a major tourist destination, and they took a pretty heavy stance on anti-human trafficking efforts there as well. Again, many of the victims that we've seen from the data that we do have were here local. They were from the greater Bay Area region, but we did see some that had traveled from out of state and some international. And really, I just want to say that this event really just highlights what we have here in Santa Clara County and the Bay Area for that matter. But I'll just say that on the side, I teach for several different organizations, and I get to travel the country nationally, and I'm just really proud of the work we do here when I hear the complaints from other law enforcement and prosecutors across the country when they say that they don't have relationships with their service provider organizations and they say that they don't have prosecutors that take their cases seriously. I'm just proud to say that we don't have that here and that we're leading by example, and I want to continue doing that work and I think a large part of it's because of this Human Trafficking Commission. It's the MDT board members that sit here, that hold us accountable, that buy into this work and give us the resources we need. And I just want to see that continue into the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I will turn to the commission to see if there are any comments, feedback, or questions. You look like you're reaching. Yes, there you go.
Yeah, Lieutenant Singleton, I just want to thank you for the presentation. More importantly, I want to thank you for the work and the collaboration that made this a success, building on the Super Bowl and applying lessons learned there to World Cup, which, as you pointed out, was, a month-long period or more, and it was 6 Super Bowls in terms of the number of games here. And I do think that having gotten to visit the Tactical Operations Center that you set up, it was really breathtaking to see the number of law enforcement agencies from around the area that were present, in addition to the service providers that were present and other companies that were helpful in our efforts. And I think that, success has 1,000 mothers and fathers, but you're certainly one of those. So thank you.
Thank you.
To commissioners, oh, no, thought that were you. Lieutenant Singleton, thank you so much for the work. In preparation for the season of Sports Bonanza, I and a few other commissioners did have the chance to go to the Trafficking EOC, right, the home base there, and to witness the coordination of multi-jurisdictional agencies from all across the region and national partners as well be gathered on one site, and then to walk us through the monitoring, the investigation, the collaboration of information. It was nothing short of operational awe and incredibly not model setting collaboration and cross-collaboration between law enforcement, service providers, our district attorney's office, and our community advocates as well, who many have volunteered and traveled across state lines to be able to be part of this response. I thank you for that. And I also want to make an ask about, one of the critical features of our response that makes this such a unique place is our victim-centered guidelines that were developed in partnership across jurisdictions, across expertise. Is that model I believe that this guidelines to be a model. Is it something that we are ready to lift out from this year of 2026 FIFA and World Cup? FIFA and Super Bowl, that we're able to then push forward or share, or maybe we're already doing that already?
We are. We commonly joke, we've actually seen our protocols produced by other counties where they've actually listed our phone numbers because they forgot to change it. But that's fine. We smile and that's okay, and we share it. And in fact, I don't want to put them on the spot, but I have some friends here from Santa Cruz County with the Aruca Project, who I just recently shared our protocol with as well, to help bolster the efforts in Santa Cruz County. And I think that those guidelines have been well thought out. They were put together by a number of strategic partners, with Sharon having a huge part of that, Ms. Denoa. And I just think that, we continue to come back to those, to look at them, to reflect on them, what works and what we can change. But really, they're really comprehensive, and they work. And I think that model works. So we do. We need to continue being the leader in that fashion and sharing those types of documents with others to lead by best practice.
Thank you, Lieutenant. I know that collaborations often happen organically. The best ones usually do. And the challenge sometimes, but they're really great collaboration, is how do you codify that? How do you memorialize that as something that can be replicable in other places? And I think that's what we've done here. Welcome, Santa Cruz. Thank you for being here. It's nice to see that our collaboration continues to reach well beyond the borders of our fair county here. I hate to put you on the spot, Lieutenant Singleton, and heads up to all of our presenters. I'll be asking this of everybody. In terms of lessons learned and what you really want the policymakers and decision makers of this commission to understand. You talked about continuing the investments, continuing to believe in this work. When we go back to our respective offices to set policies, to create vision plans and strategic plans and to set budgets, what are the things that you really want to make sure we understand that are non-negotiables, even before the sporting events and for sure now after the sporting events?
I think that this work, it takes a lot of effort. It's people that have been doing this work for a long time, the trailblazers, and every time that one of those people leave, there's loss of institutional knowledge. We've certainly faced that in the task force with different people coming and going. We've been hit hard with budget cuts. The partners, and really to do this work, I think the best model is a task force model. It's a model where, like for law enforcement, where you have people from different organizations that are working together under one joint roof. That's the secret sauce. And when we've lost some momentum, we've lost some key partnerships in that, and really we need help getting local law enforcement from Santa Clara County to commit bodies into this work full-time. I think that would be extremely helpful. I think that we need to continue to maintain an MDT approach to this, that we can't operate in silos, which is why I think, this Human Trafficking Commission is really, really important for that work, to hold us all accountable, to ensure that we're working together. And I think we need to keep that going.
Thank you, Lieutenant. I hope you feel our gratitude today to the work.
Yep, thank you. And just last comment would just be to say thanks to everybody that participated in this effort. This certainly was a team effort. I mean, just massive hats off to everyone in our task force that put in countless hours to make this work, that sacrificed summer vacations with their families. So I'm just really indebted in gratitude to everyone that stepped up to do this work. So thank you.
Thank you. Before we go to a vote to receive the report, I'm going to see if there's any members of the public who wish to provide public comment on this item.
We have one request to speak online.
Okay, so public comment is closed. I'd like to entertain a motion to receive the report.
We do have one.
Oh, one.
request.
I'm sorry. I thought I
Yes.
heard none. I'm so sorry.
My apologies.
So one speaker. I'll allocate 1 minute.
Okay. So our speaker is Parent. Parent, you'll have 1 minute to speak. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you for the report, Lieutenant Singleton. It sounds like you did great work over the FIFA to stop sex trafficking. One thing of note, you said leading by example, and I think that we need to look at Jeff Rosen's example in that he's helping facilitate the sexual abuse of my kids. My son, he's already confirmed that my ex-wife was letting somebody rape him, and all Jeff Rosen, I told him about it, and all he did was help to cover it up and help facilitate the sexual abuse of all of my children. I think it's just a poor example, and he should not be on this commission. He should not be in the DA's office. And, just this latest thing with Les Wexner is just another example of what a poor example he is. And if you want to see this, please Google DA Jeff Rosen, petition sex trafficking for more information. Thank you for your time.
That concludes public comment.
Thank you. And before I continue, I want to, for full disclosure, California law prohibits the disclosure of information related to an investigation of child sex abuse or neglect. We are not authorized by the law to speak to the specifics of any particular case, no matter how horrendous the allegations are. California requires child welfare departments to immediately cross-report physical and sexual abuse of children to law enforcement and the district attorney so that swift action can be taken. Thank you, everyone. So now I'll turn to the commission, and I'll look for a motion to receive the report. Motion made by Under Sheriff Doty. Second? Second by Commissioner Duan. All those in favor of receiving the report? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? And the ayes of the chair? The ayes have it. All right, so we're going to move on to item 5 on our agenda now, and that is to Receive report from the labor standards outreach and education efforts before and during major sporting events from the Office of Labor Standards Enforcement.
Good afternoon, chairs, commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Irene Cermeño, and I serve with the Office of Labor Standards Enforcement, or OLSE. Joining me in the audience is Dr. Ana Lilia Garcia, Chief Equity Officer and Director of the Division of Equity and Social Justice. So when Santa Clara County prepared to host the Super Bowl and the FIFA World Cup, there was tremendous excitement and opportunity surrounding these global events. But alongside that opportunity came an important responsibility, ensuring that the workers who helped make these events possible understood their rights, knew where to turn for help, and were protected from exploitation. Today, I'll share how OLSC, alongside our trusted community partners, worked before and during these events to educate workers, raise awareness of labor trafficking, and connect people with resources and support. As you'll hear throughout this presentation, this work was not something that began when the events arrived. It was built on year-round partnerships, outreach, and education that created the foundation for our response. Before I talk about the work connected to these major events, I wanted to briefly introduce OLSC and the role we play. The Office of Labor Standards Enforcement is part of the Division of Equity and Social Justice within the County Executive's Office. Our mission is to help create a Santa Clara County where workplaces are safe, respectful, and fair for everyone. We do this through enforcement, education and outreach, and partnerships with community organizations. Today, I want to focus on the outreach and education side of the work, the part where we show up in communities, connect with workers and businesses, share information about workplace rights, and build relationships that allow people to access support. One important point I want to highlight is that labor trafficking prevention is not something we only focus on during major events. It is part of our everyday work through our advice line, worker cases, multilingual outreach, education efforts, and partnerships that exist throughout the year. Those ongoing systems are what allowed us to respond effectively when these major events came to Santa Clara County. Last May, Supervisor Young asked OLSC to provide the Human Trafficking Commission with a clear picture of our outreach and education efforts connected to the Super Bowl and FIFA World Cup. Today, I'll walk you through that story. We'll begin with the investment and partnership that created the foundation for this work. Then I'll share the communities we reached, the activities we carried out before and during these major events, what worked, and the recommendations we see moving forward. Together, these pieces show an important lesson. Major event preparedness is strongest when built on trusted relationships, strong partnerships, and systems that already exist long before the event arrives. Every major event response starts with the foundation behind it. In fiscal year 2025-26, Santa Clara County invested more than $1 million in strategic community partnerships. These partnerships were critical because they connected us with organizations that understand our communities, speak the languages of our workers, and have built trust with workers and businesses over time. Through these partnerships, we were able to provide labor standards education, workers' rights information, and trafficking awareness throughout the year. So when the Super Bowl and World Cup arrived, we were not starting from scratch. We were building on relationships and systems that were already in place. Behind every statistic is a person, a worker with a story, a family, and a set of concerns they are carrying. During the past fiscal year, OLSC managed 498 worker cases, answered 572 advice line calls, helped workers avoid more than $79,000 in attorney fees, engaged more than 5,600 workers, engaged 726 businesses, trained more than 800 workers and 450 employers, supported 161 law clinic clients navigating labor or immigration issues. These numbers represent the year-round work that created the foundation for our major event outreach. But there's another important part of this story, what our partners were experiencing on the ground. As we approached these major events, our community partners shared that outreach was happening in a challenging environment shaped by fear and uncertainty. Many workers and small business owners were concerned about possible ICE activity, In some cases, those concerns were based on rumors rather than confirmed activity, but even rumors were enough to change how people responded. People stayed home. They avoided public spaces. They hesitated to engage. Workers were navigating fear, uncertainty, and misinformation. Our partners had to meet people where they were, responding to the concerns community members brought forward, even when those concerns were not directly related to labor trafficking. The context is important as we look at the outreach effort that followed. Even in that challenging environment, we continued showing up. Our advice line continued providing free legal assistance while using screening tools to identify potential labor trafficking indicators and establish protocols for referrals when needed. While we did not see an increase in advice line calls connected to the Super Bowl and World Cup, we continue monitoring trends and remain prepared to respond to any concerns that surface throughout our existing systems. Our advice line supervisor provided human trafficking awareness training and helped ensure staff and partners understood how to recognize potential indicators and connected workers to appropriate resources. We also conducted public awareness efforts focused on workers' rights and labor trafficking, expanded digital outreach through our website, newsletter, Facebook, and Instagram, and continued partnering with organizations such as the Fair Workplace Collaborative and the South Bay Coalition to End Human Trafficking. We distributed 1,700 workers' rights materials and 500 trafficking awareness materials. We also connected with organizations such as In Our Backyard to explore opportunities for future collaboration. Each of these efforts helped ensure that workers had access to information, knew their rights, and knew where they could turn for support. I also want to acknowledge that questions might come up regarding the advice line screening tools or referral process. At the end of the presentation, our advice line supervisor attorney, Ruth Silvertoe, will be available to answer any questions about those processes and how we identify and respond potential labor trafficking concerns. When we look back at this work, one thing became clear. What worked was not one single program or one single event. What worked was consistency. Because we had year-round outreach, workers had opportunities to learn about their rights before the major events took place. Because we had strong community partnerships, trusted messengers were able to reach workers in ways that government alone cannot. And because we used multiple approaches, including door-to-door outreach, small group conversations, business engagement, and digital outreach, we were able to connect with different communities in different ways. The biggest lesson is that trust cannot be built right before a major event. Trust is built over time through consistent presence and relationships in the community. As we look ahead to future major events, several opportunities stand out. First, we should continue investing in trusted community partners. Their relationship, cultural knowledge, and multilingual capacity are essential, especially when reaching workers who may be harder to connect with through traditional systems. Second, we should begin cross-sector planning earlier. Bringing partners together sooner allow us to align messaging, referral pathways, language access, and outreach strategies before events begin. Finally, we should continue improving our tracking tools so we can better understand our reach, measure impact, and strengthen future efforts. These recommendations reinforce the central lesson from this experience. Labor trafficking prevention is strongest when labor enforcement, community organization, employers, and other partners work together year-round, not only when the major event is approaching. Thank you for your time and for the opportunity to share this work with you today. OLSC remains committed to protecting workers and strengthening the partnership that makes this work possible. We appreciate the Commission's continued leadership and partnership in this important work. So thank you, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Irene, for the presentation. I'm turning to my fellow commissioners to see if there are any questions, comments, feedback. Commissioner Arenas?
Thank you. I really appreciate this verbal report and the effort to focus on have a more broader perspective. And I'm surprised to hear you say that there were any additional reports through the phone lines. I think that you said through when FIFA happened and then when the Super Bowl happened. Do you have any, maybe, any theories in terms of why? Or is it because maybe people just don't think of our numbers? What do you think? It could be something that could be missing.
I think, and Ruth, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think there is an effort to share the national hotline because that's very central, and to push people to that number because, as we've heard, people are traveling, right? They're being moved for one direction. And so if we start putting like a phone number to a specific region, if a person can't call within that region, we just want them to get the help. And I think there's been an effort to push the national number versus the advice line number when that. But Ruth, I don't know if you have
Yeah,
something.
I'd like to comment. We heard the report from the lieutenant that labor trafficking was, you had like one or so. And we get calls on wage theft, discrimination, leave acts, et cetera. Now, in the past, I have had labor trafficking calls, just not now, where people didn't know it was labor trafficking. They would ask questions about wage theft, and we have a screening tool where a detailed one and a high-level one that every single advice line attorney has, and it goes through that. And I was able to identify there were a few labor trafficking possibilities that I turned over because the person thought they were just having an issue with wage theft, but then it turned out they weren't free to leave, and there were other issues where there was coercion involved. But because people are very afraid, a lot of callers to the line are afraid to do anything because of immigration consequences as well. They just want advice. They're really terrified. And Ms. Cermeño pointed that out, how there is an atmosphere of fear. But we're still getting lots and lots and lots of calls, and calls from all over the country, actually. I don't know how they hear about us, but I get a call. And where are you from? You know, Vermont. Oh, but also languages. I've had Korean, Arabic, Portuguese, Brazilian. I have a case now, a retaliation case, a national origin, and just regular retaliation case with Portuguese, Brazilian. What I have to do, though, is I have to use the language line, refer them to the Law Center where we have Boost Lingo, and it would be great if we could have Boost Lingo on the advice line, too. That would be helpful, because we're getting other languages besides the ones here. But otherwise, I think we did have an uptick in calls for exploitation.
So overall, exploitation had an increase in calls, and then some of those you filtered out and determined maybe they were labor or whatever category they belong under. People just seem to have more trust in that particular.
Yes, and in California, we have a very high standard. It's in the Penal Code, substantial and sustained deprivation of liberty. It's a little higher even than the federal, and right now, federal is a little problematic because of the administration. So we do, if people don't want to go to law enforcement, we do send them to the labor agencies for certification of visas, but also filing trafficking cases. But it's still that same substantial and sustained deprivation of liberty. So it's a pretty high standard. But we do take care of the exploitation, any type of exploitation.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it would be interesting to figure out like what the kinds of special work visas that we have seen. I think just anecdotally we've seen an influx of Colombian work visas and migration as well, informal migration. Certainly from South America as well, and I think FIFA probably increased maybe Brazil. To your point, Ruth, I mean, that's just anecdotal. But it would be interesting to connect maybe some of the calls, or just what do we know about the about the visas that are allowed in this area or in the Bay Area or in California, and how does that link up with the calls that we're getting? And maybe that would allow us to also understand who we are not targeting and who we need to continue to target. We won't ever get work visas for those folks who are not here with a work visa, and so we already know the Mexican community is here without permits, and so I'd like to see what focus we can have for that community as well. And I appreciate your report, the verbal report here, and the efforts that collectively we're all making. I want to make sure that we keep track of it, that we don't lose it, because it's not just the FIFA or March Madness or Super Bowl. This is all year round. Folks sacrifice they abandon their countries to come here, and so the underground labor force is probably stronger than ever because of the administration. And I think that this provides us an opportunity to maybe do some alternative outreach or some alternative strategies, because I don't think we've ever seen this kind of scenario in this kind of administration before. And it scares me that people are so scared. And so I think it's up to us to be proactive, because we know folks may not be able to step forward and say what they need to say. I really appreciate the report and the efforts, and hopefully we can continue to track this. Thank you.
I did want to say that I do have people who call and say, I don't think you can do anything because I'm undocumented. So I think we could have and of course I say, it doesn't matter, no one's going to ask, we're here to help you. But I would like to see maybe a campaign that we could have in this county. You have rights. I know the ACLU has, you have rights videos for a little different issues about how to protect yourself. But I would like to see the advice line have that. The other thing I'd like to say, and Irene knows this, is that our numbers in English and Spanish are really high. We do not have as many calls in Vietnamese, Mandarin, or Tagalog. And I think we need to do more on maybe some, I know pay is a bad issue, but paid media. But even, I know when Supervisor Yun and I used to work together, there were channels that let people go on for free. So maybe we could do more to lift up those languages, because I think, although in the Spanish-speaking community, I think we need this. You have rights. It doesn't matter what your documentation. And plus, it's attorney-client privilege. Every single call, they say, is it confidential? Because they're terrified of either losing their job or, who are we? And so I think we need to lift that up too, that it's attorney-client privileged. We won't use those words, but confidential.
Commissioner Flores?
Yes. Thank you so much for the report, and I echo Supervisor Arenas' your concerns, and I fully support a campaign around education, because what we have heard from survivors of human trafficking, and particularly labor trafficking survivors, is that there's an increase in the use of threats of calling ICE by employers, and so we have seen a lot of survivors going more underground, being a lot more reluctant to seek out services, not just not report to law enforcement, but even seeking out services from confidential service providers. So I believe an educational campaign around that would be really helpful.
Could I say just one more thing about that? So yes, we are hearing this all the time, and I must commend our county council, because in one case, there was a threat that if the person didn't drop their claim, they would call ICE. And county council wrote a cease and desist letter. Plus, I want to commend the Labor Commission, because they have sworn, or former sworn, I'm not sure, but they were law enforcement or are law enforcement at the Labor Commission, and they get on the phone. They have a triage system. As soon as they hear threat to call ICE. They get on the phone and they mention Penal Code 519. It's extortion. And I told our county council about that, and they connected with the Labor Commission and triaged this case on this particular one, but there have been others. So we're on it when it comes to threats, and we're hearing more and more of those. And also, if you get the person on the phone and you get a second person on the phone who speaks, you can record it legally in California because there's no expectation of privacy. So we've been able to prove cases that way where the person's partner was on and spoke, and she recorded it, and there were threats. So.
Thank you. I think that your idea of an educational campaign is a great one. I think that each of the segments of the population should have a slightly different target, right? I think there's obviously the Asian American community is large in this county, and yet some of the results of efforts when we used to do operations over at the city of San Jose, they've never really rendered the same number of victims or survivors, excuse me. And so the fear about reporting or identifying yourself as a survivor might have a lot of different implications than the Latino community or other South American communities. And I think we need to distinguish that because we do have a myriad of issues that we need to address. The underreporting of the Asian American community. Obviously, there's a predominant reports of Spanish-speaking community, but I think the question for me still stands in terms of what those needs are and what that campaign would really, if we tailor it based on what we know and what the work visas are and what the trends that we understand maybe anecdotally to be in the streets in terms of labor trafficking, that we address them in a way that speaks to folks. I love that the idea of including that extortion somewhere in there. I just think that folks may not know that they have the right, they have certain rights, and that people that can speak up for them even if they can't speak up for themselves. And so I love that we're initiating this, and I love to see how it's going to evolve. Thank you.
Turning to my commissioners for any additional comments, questions, feedback. Fantastic. Well, thank you for the very edifying discussion today. I feel like I should get a CLE credit out of it. That's continued learning education. Lawyers are required to do that every couple of years. Irene, thank you for the presentation. I just, before I continue my questions, I just wanted to ask, were we able to partner with In Our Backyard at all during this season?
Not during the season, but definitely we started conversations about future collaborations for sure.
Yeah, and I met In Our Backyard from my work and shadowing you, Lieutenant Singleton, who do business engagement and outreach, especially with convenience stores and gas stations, to raise awareness and actually bringing out photos of children and vulnerable individuals who are believed to have been trafficked, and their organization has been able to yield significant outcomes in reuniting survivors with their families and systems of care. So, Irene, for our next presentation, I'd love to get an update on where those conversations may be, really because of OLSC's work with the small businesses in the area. I feel that you already have an existing infrastructure and network in place to be able to amplify the work that we do, the outreach that we do with our businesses, and also on behalf of anti-trafficking efforts. And I completely agree with the discussion today that education, popular education, and campaigns are always a good thing, especially for something that is being twisted for the most nefarious of purposes. So I'm so glad everybody's here. I see Ana Lilia, Dr. Garcia, and we also have Casey from the Justice Services and Support Department. I had to look, I'm going to memorize that. We also have Mary Elizabeth Hannah-Weir from our County Counsel's office, really leaning into the workers' rights work that's been done across our county organization through various departments, and then also possibly consulting, well, actually not possibly, consulting with our Fair Workplace Collaborative Coalition of specialized community partners who engage with their respective communities. What would be the beginnings of a public outreach, public education campaign? I think it's really, people don't understand often enough when you said you have rights, that immigration status has no bearing on your rights as a worker, rights as a survivor, and that it doesn't, it's in before the labor commissioner, and when it comes to the advocacy or exercise of workers' rights, it doesn't matter what your immigration status is, period. So I'd love to be able to hear more about that, really get your thinking and your thoughts at the next Human Trafficking Commission meeting. Is that okay? And by you, I mean the larger you, the collective you of all of us here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to turn to my commissioners. I'm trying to synthesize the conversation so that we can begin having a conversation around a campaign. And I was a PIO for about 2 minutes at some point in my life. Would love to be able to welcome this conversation and add to it, and looking for opportunities for earned and free media. I see cameras here from the press today. I hope that we'll be able to see you again in the future for this public education campaign. Does that sound good to everybody? Okay, at this time, I'm going to turn to public comment. If there's any members of the public who wish to speak on the Office of Labor Standards Enforcement's report.
We have one request to speak.
1 minute.
Okay. Our speaker is Parent. You will have 1 minute to speak. Please go ahead.
Yes, I'm so glad that we're doing a lot of things to help victims of labor trafficking. I'm not surprised that people are terrified. I mean, it's not just ICE that people are threatening them with. We need to look at how often people are being threatened by the district attorney after reporting these types of crimes. Because I know it's not just these threats happen with labor trafficking, it happens with sex trafficking as well. That the district attorney will retaliate against you and will come after you with charges when you didn't commit a crime, just to benefit these people who are doing the trafficking. It's just terrible what's going on, and we really need to look into what Jeff Rosen is doing in terms of this type of retaliation. Thank you so much for your time.
That concludes public comment.
Oh, Camille, I see a yellow card in our depository there. Not for this item. All right. Okay, public comment is closed. I will turn to my commissioners for a motion to receive the report. Actually, before we do that, Ruth, or Irene, can you read off the OLSC legal advice hotline that we were hearing today? Ruth, when you said that you're getting calls from people across the nation, I'm not surprised at all. I think Santa Clara County has one of the best, if not the best, possibly the only full-service legal advice hotline where when you call the hotline, you get a multiple number of languages to choose from, and the person answering the phone is actually an attorney speaking in language. So that's quite an advertisement.
And also, they were either former students of mine or volunteer attorneys, so they've been vetted, and they're really all really outstanding. And and we're the only one in the country. And I have mentioned it to San Diego, and even I've got calls from around the country, and they don't have people, because there's so few lawyers of color, period, in the profession, let alone ones who speak other languages. So we're very lucky in this county even to have that, and I want to keep them happy. 866-870-7725.
866-870-7725. For all those who are listening in the audience, that is a free legal advice line regarding any potential violations in the workplace or of your personal rights. Please give that number a call. Attorneys answer the phone in language. Thank you. And then I will now look for a motion to receive report.
So moved.
Motion made by Co-Chair Rosen, and a second? Second by Commissioner Collins. All those in favor of the motion to receive report?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the ayes have it. Motion passes, report is received. And we are now moving on to item 6, which is to receive the verbal report from the Justice Services and Support Department relating to county efforts to address human trafficking, including survivor services. Our presenters are Deputy County Executive Casey Halcone and Program Manager 2 of the Gender-Based Violence Prevention Office, Carla Collins. Who are also our commissioners.
Thank you so much. I am attempting to project my presentation, Madam Clerk. Looks like it's working on my end, but perhaps not. Yes, it is shared. Let's see. One moment while we... Let's see. We were having problems with my login earlier, which might be the issue. Okay, let's see. Try this way instead. There we go. It's not exactly the way I'd prefer it, but here we go. Thank you. So Deputy County Executive Casey Halcone, and I'm also here with Carla Collins from our Gender-Based Violence Prevention Program. And we're going to take a little bit of a higher view about how our survivor services work within the county. So obviously we have our wonderful coalition and our trafficking task force represented by Sharon and Lieutenant Singleton to my left. And some of these cases will intersect with other county services, including specifically the Social Services Agency, namely our Department of Family and Children's Services, and also our Probation Department. So we thought we would give a bit of an overview as to how those cases come into our services. So this gives a brief overview, and we have DFCS Director Wendy Kinnear-Rausch here in the audience if there are specific questions. But we do receive reports of human trafficking certainly during large sporting events, but also outside of those times directly to our Child Abuse and Neglect Center. Some of these cases will engage with DFCS and will qualify for services. Some will be referred out. Some may be joint between DFCS and probation. But either way, the case would be referred to a social worker for follow-up. And we do have youth engagement specialists and a small program within DFCS that works specifically with our human trafficking youth, including our CSEC, or commercially sexually exploited children. We do a lot of connection to services throughout the county, certainly in probation as well, but specific to DFCS. A lot of those services, and certainly Sharon can talk about this or Perla in more depth, or representatives from victim services in the DA's office. We do a lot of connection to advocate services, so that's going to be a lot of confidential services, rape crisis services, rape trauma services, but also potentially advocate services within law enforcement as well and in the DA's office, particularly if there's going to be criminal prosecution. We also do referrals and warm connection to behavioral health. So we do have contracts and providers that we work with within DFCS, but also through our rape trauma services and our rape counseling, rape crisis services as well for those victims that may qualify. Public health can be very helpful for our CSEC and human trafficking survivors. These are often folks who will need some education on healthy sexual habits, also body awareness and body safety, and public health can be a great advocate for them. And we do this all through a trauma-informed lens. I believe it was, I can't recall who it was, it may have been you, Chairperson Young, but I think that we were talking a little bit about this trauma-informed lens that we bring to the work and how we are survivor-centered. Lieutenant Singleton was saying his his model is often taken by other counties and they may leave his number on it. I think it's something that Santa Clara County is known for, and certainly advocate services are no exception to that rule. Neither is our DFCS. And so there is a trauma-informed multidisciplinary approach to ensure that our survivors are connected to services that are being utilized, that are useful, and that are meeting the client's needs. Yeah. We're going to try this again. Yay, there we go. Okay. So moving on to probation. So probation has a screening tool that they use, as does actually our Children's Advocacy Center as well. So we're beginning to use these screening tools throughout the services that we provide in the county for any services and departments that may have contact with CSEC or potential human trafficked children. And this screening tool is administered to all youth who may have a history or may have been determined to have some kind of risk for CSEC. So there is a coordinator in probation, much like there would be in DFCS, who can assist these particular survivors, can help them navigate services for themselves and their family. Those one-on-one conferences are really important. I think this, I'm preaching to the choir here, but for these survivors, trust is a huge issue. These are often survivors who've had negative interactions with services in the past, potentially county, potentially law enforcement. Certainly if they've been trafficked at a very young age, trust and authority and bodily safety and autonomy can be huge risks and red flags for them. So those one-on-one services, those trauma-informed services are really critical to care. Advocate referrals, again, you're going to see a lot of this, referrals between our county departments and also our confidential services and also our victim services within the district attorney's office as well. That ongoing evaluation, Lieutenant Singleton was showing the statistics that we had specific to FIFA and to Super Bowl. Some of our youth will come to us, some of our survivors will touch our county for 24 hours or less. Some will remain within our county as residents, and some will remain as our clients through various services that we provide. If they remain our clients, either through behavioral health or through our rape crisis centers, through victim services, DFCS, or probation, they will have ongoing case management, which requires reassessment to ensure those services, again, are meeting their needs, that there's progress, if there's any concern about survivor safety, and then ongoing referrals back and forth, particularly with our rape crisis, for that confidential support that they need. So our community-based organizations, and I will touch on this, but certainly Sharon and Perla are the experts here, but the Polaris Project is our national level for referrals, and Community Solutions is our contact for that project. And Community Solutions and the YWCA is another rape crisis center, but they treat these clients with extreme care, again, that trauma-informed lens. So they're responding to these victims in real time. So they're looking to find a case manager within 2 working days. That case manager then again does pretty immediate connection with that survivor, and then the coordinator always does backup contact to ensure that the victim has been contacted, that the survivor is getting the services they need, and there's ongoing case conferencing happening within the agency, again, to ensure that trauma-informed work and to make sure that the survivors are getting the services that they need. So there was some interest, I think, from this body in looking at our after action and what we've learned from our FIFA and Super Bowl response. So I'm going to talk for a minute a little bit more broadly than just human trafficking. But for those of you, some of you may have been in the room about a week and a half ago when we did a 3-hour discussion about our after action conversation about our FIFA and Super Bowl response. This county is extremely well known for our very well organized Office of Emergency Management Operations. Certainly we saw that at COVID. It's improved over time. And there was a lot of commentary about the different ways in which we all work together with the local cities, with the federal government, with our state partners, and with our host agencies. This has a lot to do with the coordination of many folks in this room. I just would really like to highlight some of the work that went into the experience of FIFA and Super Bowl that had a lot to do with planning for the worst. So planning for things like a mass casualty event or a significant event that would require many of us to work together in that moment, led in large part by the Victim Services Unit in the DA's office with the Office of Emergency Management. And we've put together the Family Assistance Center Planning Annex, which is the first of its kind, we believe, certainly in the state and maybe in the nation. And the California Department of Social Services is actually in the process of using us as a case study to be illustrative to other counties about how they can do this work. And so I was on a phone call with them earlier this week to talk through what it would look like for us to be able to provide some of our documents statewide because of how integrated our work in emergency response is. And I think a lot of that has to do with relationship building, which has been significant leading up to this event, I think has taught us a lot. And so this is where this after action assessment. So we had our events between January and July. Right now, the Office of Emergency Management is completing that after action report, and we anticipate that full report will be available in September, and we would love the honor to come back to this commission and provide some more information as it relates specifically to our human trafficking and lessons learned. So we just wanted to connect this back to, again, our budget, because where we allocate our dollars is, of course, an action of policy. And gender-based violence and prevention of gender-based violence continues to be a significant area of focus for our board members. And so while we did see a cut to our services, it was 10% of a reduction in funding, which was significantly reduced from the original 20% that was recommended. And we have been working with our vendors for flexibility, and you'll see here that decrease in therapeutic services, because we do have some other resources for those services in our community and our contracts, but a real increase in advocacy, shelter, and prevention. So again, really trying to get to victims sooner and to provide those wraparound services earlier in the process. I'm very pleased to say that we were able to keep our rape crisis center contracts stable, and we were actually able to increase them this year specifically for services at the Children's Advocacy Center, which in part goes to our child survivors of CSEC and gender-based violence. So I did want to highlight, which I know we'll be talking about in a bit, but we are seeing some changes here in the local landscape. Again, I just really want to harken back to what Lieutenant Singleton shared. A lot of this work has to do with the relationships we've built with the folks in this room and beyond, and the level of trust that we have in each other, and the 2 a.m. phone call that we know will be picked up. And the South Bay Coalition to End Human Trafficking has been really a backbone of that effort, led and created by Perla Flores and Sharon Denoa, and has been a long-time project of Community Solutions. So this year, Community Solutions will be phasing out that program, but we are working in deep partnership, county leadership, with Community Solutions, with Perla, with Sharon, to find another fiscal sponsor for this program, with the intention that we will reduce and minimize any disruption to service, to ensure continuity, because we recognize and just really want to honor in this space how important that work has been. So I just wanted to make sure we daylight that. Certainly we can have more conversations about that, and I believe that we'll talk a bit about that in the next presentation. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
I'm turning to the commissioners for any questions, feedback, reflections. Yes, Gilda from the Public Defender's Office.
Thank you. Great report. I was curious in just listening to Lieutenant Singleton's report and the after action. If I heard that correctly, there are 25 victims from Santa Clara County out of 64. And in the after action, is there anything that we are looking at that we might be able to improve prevention, learning from that group?
So I know the intention with After Action is to reach out to the coalition and to Lieutenant Singleton for those lessons. I think Sharon may be able to share a bit about what we've learned on some prevention efforts. I will say that I think our campaign that was led by the coalition, Safety for the Bay, was really critical in that prevention effort. I have been with the county long enough to see a few different iterations of human trafficking work in this county in 2 Super Bowls. And I think this year, and certainly my partners at the table can disagree, but I feel like the coordination, the prevention, the conversation, the relationships, the multi-pronged approach we took both through the task force, the coalition, the county response for our emergency operations center, and also our partnership with the feds and the states really kept those numbers down to the extent that they could be, and really made sure that folks in the Bay Area knew that this was not a safe place for you if you were a trafficker, that we took it extremely seriously and we would respond extremely seriously. I would turn to Lieutenant Singleton if he wants to add any comments to that, but that's what it appeared from our end.
Yeah, I would agree. We did have several instances where we heard traffickers say they wouldn't come down here to Santa Clara County and bring victims and survivors here because I think they were aware of the large effort we were taking to identify those victims and survivors and apprehend traffickers very aggressively. So there were anecdotally instances where we heard traffickers not wanting to come to our region.
Was there anything specific or, I guess, any commonalities with the victims here in Santa Clara County that we could look into to, again, as part of the prevention, that we could learn something? Were they, like, what were their vulnerabilities to being exposed to trafficking? I don't know if the answer is here now, but if...
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's some underlying criminogenic factors that tend to be consistent for our victims of human trafficking and CSEC. They tend to be young women of color. They tend to be from low socioeconomic backgrounds or areas with scarce resources. And that's true for our victims of crime in general, but certainly higher risk for our CSEC youth. That's not always the case, but by and large, we see some of the same factors for a lot of victimization, particularly sexual abuse.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rennes.
Thank you. Could you break down if there was any patterns? Typically, there is a cycle that happens in the Bay Area, and Alameda County is a major source. For us here in the South Bay and for the rest of the Bay Area. How is that pattern still what it used to be? Is there anything new? Is there any new countries? Is there something that we have learned through some of the minors that were rescued?
I think it's a great question. I would turn to my partner in the DA's office, Lieutenant Singleton. I don't have that data in front of me. I don't know if you do, but certainly we could come back with that information in November.
Yeah, members of our team during proactive operations were aggressively contacting identified juveniles that we had identified as juveniles through Canary, which is a tool we use to identify ads that are being posted online, as well as through the National Center of Missing Exploited Children, and they really would not leave Alameda County. So I think the word had gotten out that Santa Clara County was taking a very aggressive approach to this, was doing a number of proactive operations designed to recover survivors and victims, especially juveniles of human trafficking, that were posting ads online, and simply refused to leave Alameda County.
I mean, it's a double-edged sword because since we are so organized here, I think it's a perfect place for them to actually come so that we can apprehend them. And now they're going to other counties, and I understand that we don't want them here, but other counties aren't as prepared as we are. And so I fear that those survivors will continue to cycle through. But I understand we're not going to take the foot off the gas simply because, right? My other question is, what was the work with ICAC locally in San Jose?
Sure. If I can just respond to the first portion of your comment. Yeah, so here in California, we have a group called the Innocence Lost Working Group, and it's a group of human trafficking investigators and prosecutors. It's about 750 members across California into Southern Oregon and Nevada. And we meet once a quarter. We're on a listserv email. We share information daily. I will say that the human trafficking effort, and I think kind of the model that we've established here with the task force, is being replicated. Sacramento County just launched a human trafficking task force. San Francisco County is in the process of launching a human trafficking task force. San Mateo County just launched their human trafficking task force. So I think the model we have here is being used and replicated in their own specific jurisdictions. Alameda County is unique in a lot of ways, and we're certainly cognizant of not trying to push victims and survivors deeper underground. So,
Right.
understood. In regards to ICAC, I can't speak to a whole bunch of that. San Jose Police Department's ICAC unit did run a number of operations during this period. We supported some of those. I believe there was a total of 4 suspects arrested for violations that were done through the ICAC teams, and we supported them through the intelligence side of it at the Human Trafficking Tactical Operations Center.
I understand a lot of the strategies need to be covert and not publicly discussed, but I think that also there's some benefit to understanding what those patterns are and if there are any new trends, so that we can also, as we are connected with school systems and community systems, so that families, parents, and educators can understand what to also look for, right? And I think that's a really important thing that I don't know that is exactly connecting with this task force is what are some of the new trends, and without revealing too much about the covert operations, because I want to be respectful of that. I want them to be effective. But as a parent, I also want to understand, how is my 11-year-old daughter potentially going to get targeted? What do I need to know in order to have additional conversations with her and her friends, right? As a matter of fact, this morning, my daughter was telling me about a little girl in her school who was being very mean to everybody, and they ended up realizing she's being abused. And this was reported to school personnel. And you just never know who is sitting next to you in the desk next to you, in the classroom next to you. And as parents, we need to see the bigger picture, or at least see a portion of what is effective in terms of strategies, and if there's anything new that we need to also be prepared for, and as educators as well, right? So I think that if we could pull some of that to bring it into this venue, and then to distribute in terms of information, and or integrate it into some kind of the campaigns, not the labor campaigns that we were talking about, but surely into some of the programs and services that we are funding. And I'll move. I see you nodding your head, Casey.
I'm thinking of prevention, Supervisor, so I was thinking that what we could do is, in greater conversation with our partners, understand those trends, any sort of new movement in this space, and include that in our recommendations, both in the report back in November, but also to our nonprofit partners here, to the rape crisis centers, who do a lot of prevention work as well, to ensure that information is getting out to them in the work in the schools, and when they're directly working with at-risk families.
Yes, thank you. That's really important, because I don't know if this is not the most kitchen table kind of conversation
That is a
to
fair
have.
point,
It is
Supervisor.
very maybe uncomfortable for some, and how do we kind of bring it up on a daily basis? But I think it's important for us to have uncomfortable conversations with our children, with our educators, and with the whole system. And then not only to have these conversations, but to recognize what those patterns are, and then build those response strategies into our budgets and into our contracts. Otherwise, we're not moving as quickly as those who are trying to target and corral our children and our youth. And so I'd love to see what that looks like in the service categories that you presented.
Happy to present with that, and also say too, there are pamphlets that we have in this county, and we could publish them and display them in November about how to talk about these difficult conversations with your children. To your point, human trafficking, child abuse, child sexual abuse, not a dinner time conversation for many of us here. It's our life's work. It doesn't mean it's easy for everybody else to hear or talk about. So there are pamphlets that have been developed for parents who may have at-risk children about how to have these difficult conversations in a way that's trauma-informed and allows children who may have been exposed to images or to solicitation to come forward with that in a way that makes them feel safe. So we do have some of those materials.
Thank you. And I don't know about pamphlets, because nowadays we don't get
We could
those,
probably put those
We don't
online.
get those
Yeah.
paper newsletters. I am a paper
Good point,
person,
yes.
like as you can see here. I love putting things still on the refrigerator, but I may be old school But I also get Parent Square, which is part of the vehicle that the school districts, 2 different school districts utilize to communicate with me regarding my child.
And that information I know has been shared in years past with our school districts, but it's certainly a good point that we could look at those materials, refresh them, and see if we can maybe modernize them a bit to get them out in a more demonstrative way.
And then if we could also include boys who are getting targeted.
Absolutely.
Now, I have a 17-year-old son, and I do have these uncomfortable conversations with him as well, because sometimes boys think that they can't be victims, right? Or because, he's 6'3" or whatever it is, or just the age that they think that they're, anyways. So I would love to have that discussion around boys as well, because I think it is something that we typically don't bring up. And, oh gosh, I forgot my last point, but overall, I really appreciate the 10%, that we drew the line at 10%. I'd really like to see a conversation in the future, a more comprehensive conversation about what we think collectively are the most important and more efficient and effective ways to serve our communities, so that because times are going to continue to be difficult, what is it that we don't want to lose? And I, as a supervisor, don't want to be put in a spot where I'm being asked, hey, give me your top 3 priorities, because it's in a vacuum, and I want to make sure that it falls within what the rest of the network is doing, what the strategies and the responses that are most effective, that it falls within those that we're prioritizing in a way that is strategically important for all of our community. And so I'd love to see what we can do in terms of budget as we prepare for next year. Thank you.
Commissioner Flores, and then it'll be Commissioner Park.
Well, firstly, to your point, Supervisor Arenas, there is a tool that was developed with survivor Savannah Sanders, and this tool it's for parents to have conversations with their kids around healthy relationships with their peers, healthy relationships in relationships, healthy use of social media, et cetera. And that tool is in English and Spanish, and the way that we used it in the past is through promotoras having cafecitos in English and in Spanish and sharing this tool. So I believe Community Solutions still has that tool, and it's something that I think would be super helpful. And I also want to take this opportunity to really thank Casey at County Exec's office, and also Supervisor Young and Arenas for your tremendous support in ensuring that there was the mitigated impact in terms of funding for the service providers, and all the DVAC agencies with a tremendous partnership and advocacy to preserve those critical funds, and hoping that that partnership continues moving forward to prioritize those critical services for survivors. Thank you.
Yeah, several comments based on what I've heard here. I understand that when we're talking about children's education, it's not just protection against predation, it's not just identifying those things, but as we heard from Committee Member Arenas, which is its identification of behaviors, meaning that there are many people that are survivors, and those behaviors kind of touch on mental health. I have always said that mental health needs to be taught alongside physical health in schools, especially to children, so they can identify issues not just within themselves and their families, but also with their friends, so they can identify these behaviors and know that these things aren't necessarily normal, that they may not be the problem, there may be other things that are a problem, but more importantly, so that they have the resources to go to, whether it's to help themselves, or whether it's to help their friends, or whether it's to help families, or their own families, because I have seen that many of the families, especially when families speak a different language or come from a different culture, don't know where to go, and in many cases, they parse the behaviors that they're seeing, the behaviors within their communities, as normal. And these are not the things that we want blended communities, that we want communities to experience. We want to be able to identify and educate that even the behaviors that we see are important.
Thank you.
Well, last thing, I also want to say that we have the DARE program. I think everyone that understands drugs knows the DARE program. In Santa Clara, the police department there has actually put together a BRAVE program, which is building awareness and respect through education. And it goes over many of the things. And I think it's a great program because they talk about pressure, different types of pressure, whether it's peer pressure, whether it's cyberbullying, different types of bullying, physical bullying, social bullying, and things like that. And I really think that the BRAVE program in the city of Santa Clara is something that I would like every jurisdiction. My daughter does not go to a Santa Clara Unified School District school, so she doesn't have that program. But every time I go to a graduation of brave students, I always wish that my daughter and every child, every school would have something like that. Anyway, just a shout out to Santa Clara PD. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Park. Looking to the rest of my commissioners for any comments, additional feedback, questions. Okay. Thank you so much, Casey, for your presentation. I believe there has been a request for additional information on curriculum, also on preventative services, and how that also fits into a larger, broader picture of budget and preparations for the next fiscal year. Does that sound about right? Did I capture that? Great, and that'll be a great presentation at the next Human Trafficking Commission meeting as we head into the holiday season where many conversations happen at the dinner table. I am going to look for a motion to receive the report. So moved. All right. So moved by, I know, Gilda Valeros from the Public Defender's Office, and a second. Second by Commissioner Rosen. And all those in favor of, oh, I'm so sorry. I know exactly what you're signaling for me. Pause. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment on this report?
We have one request to speak online.
Fantastic. 1 minute.
All right. Our speaker is Parent. You will have 1 minute to speak. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I don't believe that we're doing a good enough job at connecting survivors with services. In my example, I've reported that my son, he's reported that my ex-wife was letting a man rape him beginning when he was 13. There'd been unnecessary bathing with the children. And also there was sexual contact between two of the children. I also reported that the children became withdrawn and depressed and anxious, and they stopped having friends, and one of them became suicidal and strung out on drugs. And I've reported this directly to Jeff Rosen. I've reported it to Wendy Kinnear-Rausch. I've reported it to CANC Hotline. And nobody will do anything. There was never been an investigation of any kind. I can't even get anyone to speak with my children to see if they're okay. And I mean, it's just terrible what's going on in this county, and we really do need to do a better job. Thank you for your time.
That concludes public comment.
Thank you. There is a motion on the floor made by Commissioner Valero, seconded by Commissioner Rosen. All those in favor of approving the motion and receiving the report, please say aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Motion passes. Report is received. We are now moving on to item 7. And that is to receive report from the South Bay Coalition to End Human Trafficking relating to regional coordination and outreach efforts. We have Sharon Denoa. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you, and I'll be joined by the chair of our coalition and co-founder, Perla Flores. We'll be covering, folks should know us by now, but we're the South Bay Coalition and Human Trafficking. We'll be covering the World Cup service provider kind of results, initial results. We'll be talking about the Safety for the Bay analytics, and then kind of next steps and learnings in the future. I'll pass it over to Perla.
Thank you, Sharon. And I do want to clarify that today I'm here in my capacity as chair only. I'm no longer representing Community Solutions. If there are any questions that come up, we have Kim Henderson, the Director of Human Trafficking and Sexual Assault Services for Community Solutions that can assist us. And in terms of Voices is a regional work group that came out of the No Traffic Ahead, so it's also part of the South Bay Coalition to End Human Trafficking, really focusing on building capacity amongst legal service providers, advocacy service providers, as well as medical service providers around in-person response, emergency access to shelter, hotel, long-term case management, and also linkage to legal services. And I really want to do a special shout out to all the amazing advocates that are part of the South Bay Coalition to End Human Trafficking. Several of them are here, are from Community Solutions, our amazing partners at the YWCA. I'm going to embarrass you and ask you if you can stand, because I want to stress how challenging it is for agencies to run programs that can ensure uninterrupted access 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, to an advocate in-person response within an hour, to linkage to emergency shelter and hotel. And these are the advocates that are waking up at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. And again, I would love if we can give them an applause, and I'm going to ask you all to stand. I see you're not standing. Stand, yeah. I also want to give a huge shout out and a lot of appreciation to the Victim Services Unit. I see a couple of you that are here today, and just really appreciate, and I know Josh talked about the type of partnerships that we have in our county, and I'm also, as a national trainer, I don't see those type of partnerships amongst the service providers and amongst the multidisciplinary providers as well that we see here in our county. We're very fortunate. Josh provided a lot of data around the support that was provided by advocates during the World Cup, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that, but really appreciate, again, all the advocates that were available to support the operations, as well as advocates that were stationed at the Human Trafficking Command Center to ensure that we're triaging not just any potential survivors identified in Santa Clara County, but throughout the Bay Area. And we can go to the next slide. And so in terms of direct services data, again, if there are more questions about this, Kim can certainly provide support. There was 5 multi-victim operations that were held during the month of June. So this doesn't mean that the advocate's full-time job goes away. That means that there's additional work in support of these operations that can sometimes last hours. Kim and I had the opportunity to support an operation in San Mateo, and again, really grateful for that partnership and the tremendous advocacy that our law enforcement partners have done with other cities, with other counties, to prioritize having a prompt linkage to advocates when victims are identified in other places. 15 survivors were contacted and offered services, and this is during multi-victim operations. Also want to highlight that through Voices, we held several trainings around the right to a human trafficking advocate, multi-victim operations, best practices in in-person response, and also looking at language access, long-term, or best practices for long-term support, and language access and barriers that might come up. So we, again, the focus was not on labor trafficking, so there were not any foreign-born victims that were identified or individuals that identify as foreign nationals. And that's a piece, too, that we did hear in other spaces, that there's a lot of fear right now amongst that community in particular. So the majority of the victims were between 18 and 30 years old, and all of the victims identified were female. I know Kim's working really closely with the organizations and Voices to ensure that in November there will be a fuller report, because the other thing that we looked at is we take an intersectional approach and looking at were there an increase in calls for domestic violence or sexual assault services in the months or during the time of the World Cup, that, you know, before, during, and after. So that's data that will be provided in November in a fuller report. Thank you.
And I will continue with just an overview of our regional efforts. A majority of that was through our initiative, Safety for the Bay. We ended up having a number of outputs related to the events in the World Cup. In-person response, Perla was just speaking about, and her picture is up there. The gig economy and vendors were 2 specific trends that we focused on, and they are part of our poster campaign, which I came with a lot of materials, so if folks need to stock up on materials, please come to visit me afterwards. We've worked with In Our Backyard, so this is the booklet that we were mentioning earlier. So within Our Backyard, they collate pictures of missing youth from our greater Bay Area region, and we distributed these to various businesses. And so that's something that our coalition members did alongside In Our Backyard, and we have a good partnership with them. We focused on hospitality. One of our agencies, Freedom Insight. Freedom Insight is trying to focus on making sure that hotels not just have human trafficking training, but that it's in depth, and that's something that we're going to be continuing to work on moving forward. And then, of course, our billboard campaign, which relates to the Resource Navigator, Safety for the Bay. These are the different participating agencies, and I just want to highlight that these agencies are from all around the region. So we have agencies from San Joaquin, San Mateo, Contra Costa, really the over 9 counties are represented in terms of the work that we've been doing through our regional work group, No Traffic Ahead, and through the initiative of Safety for the Bay. I also want to highlight, so these are all the billboards. Last time we met, I had a couple of free billboards, and we got more free billboards, and I'm very excited about free. So, and I want to give a big shout out to Beth Dillon, who works behind the scenes to make sure that we're collecting all the analytics that we need. Clear Channel donated a lot of billboards for us, and you'll see some there. And you can see kind of the stats there. These images were shown over 100,000 times, and I have a list of kind of the locations all around the Bay Area. But you can see there were over 1.7 million impressions. So we had billboards at the airport off 101, San Mateo Bridge, 580 Oakland, Bay Bridge Toll Plaza, which is a great one, Hagenberger, which is near Oakland Airport, Dunbarton Bridge, Dixon Landing, which I'm always stuck in traffic there too, Ceremony Boulevard. So these are all really highly visible areas that we had digital billboards in 6 languages. Marina Boulevard, another area where there's a lot of traffic if you drive around the Bay, and Whipple Avenue. So these are billboards that we're hoping, again, to continue that partnership with Clear Channel in the future. I do want to recognize in the past couple of months the partnerships that helped us really build out the campaign. So we worked with the National Center for Youth Law. They're the ones who help staff and fund the statewide CSEC State Action Committee, which is a group of lived experience experts. They spent a number of hours looking at our website, Safety for the Bay, and gave us really great feedback. And they also really validated that the Resource Navigator takes a holistic approach to trafficking. What that means is that they really want us to move towards a method of accessing services, not based on identifying somebody as human trafficking, but based on what their need is. And so our website having the option for looking up housing, you might have a survivor of trafficking who accesses that website for housing, and they still get connected to the services that they need. So it's a more holistic approach. I want to recognize the agencies that helped us with really getting culturally responsive about our campaign. So VAR, the Vietnamese American Roundtable, helped us with translations into Vietnamese for our campaign, which I have here too. Pauis helped us with Tagalog. Aki helped us with Chinese. Maitri helped us with Hindi in the South Asian community to really make sure that the messaging in our campaign, what we found is that most of our campaign did not directly translate from English to other languages. And so if you're interested in learning more about that, it was really insightful to learn how we needed to tweak the language for each community and which images resonate for each community. We worked with Sane Sart a lot in Napa and Solano County, who were able to get billboards up there. We mentioned the SOAP project before. I want to recognize Sister Rosemary, who I think last time I mentioned made over 100 phone calls and emails to try to get the word out to different chambers of commerce. Of course, our sexual assault agencies, the Y and Community Solutions, helped us with our bar booklets and sexual assault intersections. Nagar from the Tahrir Justice Center was out there with me and Beth at the stadium, and I think we handed out 2,000 of these little stickers to individuals who were walking through. Freedom Insight helped us with the airport. And so business partnerships, we were on AC Transit, so we were able to get the word out in Alameda County. We were on the ACES train, which is the commuter train that comes down from San Joaquin County, and we'll be continuing to work with them. We got our mirror clings on all of the Caltrain bathroom mirrors. The SF Ferry has now put up all of our stickers in all of the ferries that they're operating. iHeartRadio ran PSAs as well, and you're going to be hearing from Valley Transportation, but I want to give a big shout out to Susan Lucero and Antonio Tovar, who took, I don't know how many hundreds of these mirror clings to get them up into all of the over 100 or almost 100 rail cars and hundreds of buses around our county. So if you saw those images up, there were a lot of people on the ground doing this work. And of course, San Jose Airport updated their posters in the bathroom, and they had information at the welcoming desk too. So there was a lot of work that was happening. These are just some photos to highlight where you would see safety for the Bay and the community. And again, just reflection of extensive partnership and people really putting in the time. We did a lot of outreach to businesses, actually just physically going to businesses. It was interesting to learn that places like tattoo parlors and actually dispensaries were really proactive partners. They really wanted this information and put it up. But we found a lot of just of our community businesses who are really interested in making sure that people can connect to resources quickly and safely. Other analytics, so again, Beth is our analytics guru, but you can see that we have seen consistent growth. So active users have surged 1,000% over 4 months to the website Safety for the Bay. Now this is through Google Analytics, and we launched that Google Analytics on March 1st. So we're really looking at just continuous growth for the website and how many individuals are accessing the website. We can take a look and see where are folks coming from, who's actually accessing the website, and it's no surprise that we do see that San Jose has consistently led in terms of website traffic, with San Francisco and LA also remaining top-tier cities. There's a large number of visitors whose locations are unreported, and it is sometimes difficult to note where somebody's location is because their VPN might be routed through a network. So if you work for a larger agency, your VPN may not be where you're located. So we'd sometimes have different states represented, and that might be reflective of that. Total page views, so again, we have 15 different safety violations on the website, including a page on reporting. And so you'll see numbers here, just again showing that we are increasingly seeing people accessing the website, over 4,000 views to the website from March 1st to July 31st. And you'll see that there are a number of individuals, the highest number of individuals are going to the human trafficking page with 986 views, but also at domestic violence, sexual assault, over 200 views. People are starting to access wage theft, housing support, immigration protection. They're also going to the reporting page and the Map My Location page, which is encouraging. We launched a social media campaign, and this is reflective of a lot of our partners. So again, Beth put a lot of time into this, but we had a number of partner agencies who helped enhance the messaging through social media. And so we saw a 2,000% increase in views and engagement over the last 2 weeks of June. So that really reflects the outreach and the on-the-ground work that was happening, as well as all these agencies putting up those stickers and social media. Digital outreach, so these are the QR codes. We try to specify QR codes based on the platform. So we have specific QR codes on our materials, on our mirror clings, and so you can see, again, we're seeing consistent rise in those. 100 digital outreach QR codes were just in the month of July. And we're doing well with our SEO, on the search engines. A lot of our keywords are really popular, and so it just means that we're increasing access. Next steps, well, we're going to continue to work on access. We definitely covered a lot of ground during the World Cup, but we know that there's a lot more outreach that needs to be done. I think maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were lending partnership in Oakland to make sure the businesses there have the information up. We're also working to improve. Safety for the Bay was put together, I think we put it together, in 4 months? And so we know it's a version 1. We want to make sure there are things indicated like which services are truly confidential, which services have programs specific for youth or that help some of our marginalized groups like LGBTQIA+ community. So that's kind of our next step, our iteration for the Safety for the Bay. In terms of capacity, obviously we are looking at maintaining capacity of services. And as mentioned, our coalition will be transitioning to another fiscal agent, so we're looking to maintain continuity of collaboration during this time of transition. We're looking at research on impact of sporting events. Just speaking to the transition, I'm happy to share that we are in process with Movement Strategy Center, which is an agency that provides fiscal sponsorship and is very values aligned with the coalition and really has great tools to allow for the growth that we're seeing. Certainly this year with the coalition, we've really grown in terms of a human rights approach to this issue. And they're very supportive of that. So we're hoping that that is happening in the coming months. And then the last piece is prevention, which we know prevention funding often gets cut first. But really what we found is that the on-the-ground outreach that we've been doing has been so impactful. So what we really just need is more individuals who are willing to go out, share the tools and the expertise that we have among our membership and among our partners, and continue to do really on the ground, local first, community first awareness raising. Oh, and I had another one. So in terms of research, we brought this up last time. We have started initial work with Evident Change, their research organization in Oakland. We've already conducted 2 focus groups with day workers and fast food workers. And what we're really looking at in terms of safety is what impact do sporting events like the World Cup have on opportunities and safety in our community. So we're looking to engage with key stakeholders, gather data from various partners, including county partners. We're also seeking to see if there's funding that would allow us to expand the scope of data collection and analysis. But we've learned so much from the past year and a half through this process that it would be, it's extremely valuable to capture what we've learned and carry it forward in our work. And I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Sharon, for that presentation. I will turn to my commissioners for questions, comments, feedback. Commissioner Rosen.
Sharon, great work, and thank you so much for the presentation, but thank you even more so for the work. Just picking up on something you said, the continuity of collaboration during the transition, and you mentioned a fiscal agent, and I just didn't hear the name of it.
Movement Strategy Center.
Movement Strategy Center. Okay, can you tell us anything about them? Like where they're based or?
They're based in Oakland, but they work statewide. And Carla Dardis, if you're familiar with Carla Dardis, is the CEO. She used to work with Nancy O'Malley, so she's very familiar with the issue of human trafficking. And we actually have partnered with them and Carla in the past in that capacity. So she really understands the issue of trafficking, and they've helped a lot of agencies. Their primary role is as a fiscal agent.
Got it. Got it. That's great. Thank you.
Commissioner Flores.
Yes, I also want to take this opportunity to thank Community Solutions for many years of support, and particularly under the leadership of Aaron O'Brien, when the question was never, should we do this, but how? So really, really grateful for that, and looking forward, I'm going to stay on as chair of the coalition, and looking forward to partnering and supporting during this transition and whatever capacity we can to make sure that the grants and funding are able to fully transition. And again, just also excited about this next step. And thank you so much, Sharon and Beth, for just, I think when people hear that our coalition is staffed by 2 individuals, it's hard to believe because of all the tremendous amount of work that you do.
Commissioner Rennes.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. You were first.
Oh, okay. I'm also wondering, was there not another agency in our county that would be able to step in?
I think there's probably not a simple answer for that, but I think in terms of kind of the focus of the coalition, it makes it an atypical fit for a lot of our agencies who are focused on services, right? So we do a lot of outreach, we do things like this campaign, we do a lot of kind of almost, I would like to think of it as think tank work, where we're focusing on best practices. So we're doing a lot of research. We're doing things like focus groups, really in the community, and so that's a bit atypical. And so I think this will allow us to really grow in a way that is really beneficial for our community, so that we can really start to, we've done white papers in the past, where we really hone in on best practices as it relates to trafficking. I think we can start to lean into more about learning from our experts in the community through this transition.
I appreciate that, although I think the atypical should be typical and should be mainstreamed and should be, like I said earlier, kitchen table conversation, right? So hopefully this doesn't mean that we'll take kind of the theory and the strategies and the research out of what we see as practice and the services and the programs that we fund locally. I'm certainly disappointed that we don't have community solutions. I'm grateful that, I don't know if anybody's here other than Perla is here, but I will publicly say that I am disappointed that we have to reach outside of our county. But I understand that the alignment, and I really hope that there isn't a disruption in the continuity of services, and certainly not in the workers, because that's just as important. It's a very unique kind of service, and not everybody has the capacity, the understanding, and the love to serve this very specific population. And so I appreciate the efforts. I'm sure that we're very heroic on your end to make sure that there was continuity. Just want to stress that I know whoever is involved and whoever is behind the scenes, ensuring that all of this continues to be seamless. Thank you.
Commissioner Silvertub, followed by Commissioner Flores.
Yes, I'd like to thank Sharon and Perla for the presentation, but also thank them for this amazing work. They've both been really tireless in the work they've done. And there's also a number of others here. And I'm legal service provider co-chair with Jessica Jenkins, whom I see here, and who's waving, of the South Bay Coalition to End Human Trafficking. And you've heard about the work that the South Bay Coalition has done and is continuing to do. And I have talked to people in different coalitions. I do a lot of human trafficking training, and our coalition really sets the standard. And as a workers' rights attorney, I want to say that I do not want to see any disruption in pay, in employment, in support for these workers. And I want to urge Community Solutions, I assume they'll be listening to this, the leadership there, that we are requesting that, and I'm hoping we can all request, that there will be continuity until that transition happens, because we need these workers to have their livelihood and to be able to continue the outstanding work that they're continuing to do.
Thank you, Erin, and thank you, Supervisor Arenas. I really have always appreciated your deep care for this work. Again, I can't speak for Community Solutions. I'm no longer an employee of Community Solutions. I continue on as the chair, and you have my commitment as the chair of the South Bay Coalition to End Human Trafficking that I will do whatever is within my power to continue to support. We do have assurances from Community Solutions that the direct services will continue, and I cannot state enough how tremendously proud and deeply grateful I am for the staff at Community Solutions that do the human trafficking work, the gender-based violence work. They're just amazing individuals. So grateful to each one of you. So I know that with the staff that's currently at Community Solutions, the advocates, our partners at the YWCA that are deeply committed to this work, I have 100% confidence that Santa Clara County will continue to be the leader in providing the best services to survivors of human trafficking and gender-based violence.
Thank you, Commissioner Flores. I'm going to turn your, look, I see your light on.
Yes, one more time, because I didn't end with gratitude. I was just concerned when I heard that. I just got stuck on concern of continuity of services, and I want to underline what has been previously said by others. And it is listen, I'm absolutely grateful. I know that there's a lot of work that happens behind the scenes that we don't know about. And then when you report, the 5 operations, the number of survivors that came from that, it is a tremendous amount of effort, a tremendous amount of energy, a tremendous amount of passion and technique and knowledge that lines up just perfectly in order to provide these services and these kinds of interventions. And so I want to just thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is some of the most difficult work that there is to do, and I didn't want to miss that opportunity to say that. I also think that it's a missed opportunity to not also mention that it's a loss to Community Solutions to not have you there, Perla, and to this county. As you have been really a North Star for a lot of these services. And so it brings me great sadness. I appreciate your passion and your commitment to remain a chair here, but I certainly can't overlook that we will be missing a huge resource in this county. And so this shift, the universe knows why it does what it does for some crazy reason, and we'll see how this all turns out. I'm a little hesitant and nervous but I am hopeful, of course, because all of you will remain, and of course you will continue to be our chair here as well, Perla. And so I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for all of the work. I don't want to miss that opportunity to say thank you so much for everything that took place in order. All of these efforts, it's a tremendous amount of hours, and so I just want to say thank you, not only just for what you're presenting today, for everything that you've done. Thank you.
I wanted to also lift up the work Perla has done, and I'm devastated that she's leaving us, both because she's a national leader, but that we all have learned so much from her, and the work she does is cutting edge work. She cares so deeply. She's passionate about this work. She's innovative, creative, brilliant, and it's a huge loss, but I'm glad that she's staying on with us as chair.
Commissioner Moreno. Yes. Moreno.
Well, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Board of Supervisors and everyone who has supported and contributed to this important work in the fight against human trafficking. Today, as Commissioner, I am especially grateful for the opportunity to be here because I'm a survivor. I'm helping to represent the voices of human trafficking survivors. Thank you for all your commitment, your support, and for continuing to make their voices heard. And a very special thank you, Perla, for your leadership, dedication, and strength all the time with survivors. I know this long journey has been amazing. It is truly an honor to serve along of you. I will miss you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Perla, we do have a surprise for you. We were going to wait to the end, but I believe that the conversation has naturally gravitated towards our love and appreciation of you. Today will be Commissioner Flores' last meeting as a commissioner on this body. And you will be starting a new position. I want to recognize that while this may be your final meeting in this role, it is certainly not the end of your relationship with this commission or this work. We will not let you leave completely. You have helped build partnerships, strengthen systems, elevate survivors' voices, and hold our institutions accountable to the values we believe in. Your leadership has made an impact not only here in Santa Clara County, but throughout the Bay Area. While we are sad to lose you in this capacity, we are very proud to see you step into executive leadership at STAND for Families Free of Violence. Contra Costa County is gaining an experienced, principled, and deeply committed leader, and we look forward to continuing our regional partnership with you. You'll be taking what you've built here and furthering it beyond geographical boundaries that we have been so used to operating within. That is a gift to the world, but selfishly, I want to keep you for ourselves. So we'll probably be looking for ways to woo you back. On behalf of this commission and Santa Clara County, thank you, Perla, for your service, your leadership, your courage and commitment to survivors. Thank you on a personal level for making me a better policymaker. Back then, making me a better board aide, helping me unlearn and learn the emotional language necessary to move this work forward. You change lives every day with your work, whether we are survivors or not. Everyone and anyone who's had the great opportunity and the luck to engage with you, to connect with you, walks away a better person with assignments, tasks, and milestones and deadlines to further your work. Thank you, Perla. And Supervisor Arenas and I have both prepared a certificate for you today. I'm going to hold off because there's going to be many accolades for you today. You're going to be collecting some hardware. Okay.
Thank you, Supervisor Young. Perla Flores has been a giant in the service of victims in our community. She was a person who you could call at any hour of the day if there was a victim in need. And she would work with you to make sure that victim had a place to stay that night or to connect that victim with other vital services. More than that, Perla was the kind of partner whose can-do attitude has made the systems she works with and the systems that she helps create better. When my office convened a meeting to talk about opening a family justice center in South County to provide different kinds of services under one roof for victims of domestic violence, we needed a home. Perla volunteered Community Solutions to be that home and thus started a flourishing collaboration that has helped countless survivors of intimate partner violence in South County. When my office started the Children's Advocacy Center, Perla was vital in making sure that child victims would be seen by the best confidential victim advocate to work in partnership with law enforcement and medical teams, social services, and DA victim advocates. There has always been a fire behind Perla's advocacy. That fire comes from a deep commitment to victims, her intense care for their well-being, and her passion to make the systems that should be supporting victims better and better. Perla, thank you for your amazing work, and we know that you will be doing great things at your new agency. I wish you nothing but peace and success. And we have, as well, we have a plaque for you. I'd like to say it was made by traffickers in the basement of our building, but that's not true. But we do have a plaque for you from the DA's office and from the Human Trafficking Task Force, as well as one of my personal challenge coins to thank you for your extraordinary contributions.
I'm going to turn it over to our fellow commissioners. Supervisor, I see you have your light on.
Thank you. I hope that that room didn't have windows either. So, Perla, I met you when I was serving as a council member for the city of San Jose, and part of my policy priorities was gender-based violence, and so you served as a huge advocate and a source of information, and really the thermometer to figure out whether our policy was cooked or not. And sometimes it wasn't, right? And I think you not only bring this expertise around human trafficking, you're also an immigration attorney, so you bring just a tremendous amount of expertise to the table. And it shows. And it shows the way that you carry yourself. It shows in the way that you make recommendations and policy direction, and the way that you stand your ground. And so it isn't a coincidence that I think you're going to stand. And I've got to tell you that I also worked for STAND, not that one, but there was a STAND in youth intervention. It was striving towards achievement and new direction. It was for young women intervention services. And so it's this thing that the universe does, right? I think it's also striving to bring you to a new direction. And unfortunately, it's a loss for us in this county. It's a great deal of loss. It's no offense to anybody here, because I know that there's a wealth of knowledge, expertise, compassion, and love for the work that's being done in this task force. But certainly, I think that the work that you've been doing speaks for itself. And sometimes what you do is you use your voice, and it's a very strong voice. And I've got to share just a really quick example of that voice. There was something that the current mayor, not the current mayor, but the back then mayor, when I was serving, was proposing, and it was around the rideshare. Do you remember that policy? And you said, and you called me, and you said you had a lot of concerns, and you would speak up if this moved forward. And I just couldn't understand it. I thought, well, the policy sounds good. It makes sense. It sounds like this would make sense to everybody else, except for those folks who are working hand in hand with survivors and with gender-based violence survivors and human trafficking survivors. And so that I learned a great deal from you to never make these easy assumptions about what I think is the solution, right? And so the importance of really relying on stakeholders that understand at a very different level than I do, it humbles myself as a policymaker to ensure that I don't move too quickly. And I think, as uncomfortable as conversations can be, I think that's where growth begins, is where that discomfort ends for us, right? Because then we can embrace the message. And I think I see that you're going to do just amazing things in Concord. I'm very jealous of this county. I'm grateful that you'll stay here and continue to share your expertise and your love and compassion. But I can't express enough the loss of expert in this field and the love that I have. So thank you for your service.
You got applause. It's okay. Yes.
I'm sorry. I think I got you started. So I apologize to the audience and to you. That wasn't my intention, but I'm super just grateful.
Supervisor, if I may I make a few comments briefly?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to turn to, so I know that we are going to lose folks in a few minutes here. So we're going to take this as a roadmap, okay? Okay. So my commissioners are welcome to provide comments celebrating, honoring, sharing our beloved Perla with love and adoration. And then we do have to go to a vote to receive the report. And then to all of our friends in the audience, we do have one more report. Oh, and I know it's a quick one, as Commissioner Green's signaling to me. And then we're all going to come together for a big group photo because we have flowers, we have plaques, and we have just a whole lot of heart for Perla. Does that sound like a plan? And we're going to do all that by 3 p.m. Okay?
I'm going to talk fast.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Perla, I'm going to talk to you not as a deputy county executive. I'm going to talk to you as an advocate, because at the end of the day, that's who you and I are and will always be. You and I have been on opposing sides of some big battles. And we have had fights, we have had disagreements, and I could still call you at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you could call me, and we'd always pick up the phone. And I've spent more time with you on the phone in the last 6 weeks than I think I've spent with you in the last 2 years. And I just want to say, you made me better. You challenged me, you sharpened my argument, you made me fight for the things that I took for granted, and you made me a better advocate, you made me a better leader. You will be missed deeply. And I agree with Supervisor Young and Supervisor Arenas. We will find a way to bring you back. I don't know how yet, but I'll put my deputy county executive hat on and I will figure out a way. But until then, we wish you the best of luck, and we will cheer you on from here. And you are deeply loved and deeply respected, and can't say enough wonderful things about you. Thank you.
Yeah, we may have to go to the mat with Stan for that, but we're ready. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I know we're in a rush for time, but I just want to just thank everybody here, and I just can't express with words, and even if I tried, how grateful I am to live in this county, to work in this county, and each one of you around the table has made me a better person, and just thank you. I can't find other words now, but just thank you. Thank you.
Oh, Perla. We're going to hang on tight, okay? We're going to close up the meeting and we're going to do a big group photo, okay? And there's no time certain for our love for you. Deputy County Executive Halkin, in this transition of the Anti-Human Coalition,
Yes.
I'm sorry, the Coalition to End Human Trafficking, oh my God, anti-human.
South Bay Coalition.
It's all the emotions right now, so it's blurring the vision and blurring the words. Okay, the transition of the South Bay Coalition to End Human Trafficking to this new fiscal agent, you've heard that it's paramount that there is no disruption to services. Of course, we are half of that equation, but the contracting side on our end, are we prepared and ready?
Yes, we are. So I've been working in deep partnership with Betla and Sharon, and also in communication with Community Solutions. We figured out a way on our end to expedite the contracting process. So when we're able to identify a new fiscal sponsor, that should move relatively quickly, and we are committed to doing so without service disruption.
Thank you so much. I want to also clarify that there are multiple potential partners, but we are circling and landing on one based on our conversation. Sharon, is that correct?
Yes, we're focusing on the one that will give us kind of the best position to really grow in the direction that we have been growing for the benefit of our community.
Yes. Before we move to public comment and a motion for this item, I just want to say that our colleagues, counterparts in SoCal, LA County, have reached out asking for their own Safety for the Bay campaign after seeing what happened here. I know that your work is reaching new audiences and reaching new partners. I've heard time and time again from our multidisciplinary agencies and cross-sector agencies how important the work of the coalition is, and that I've been pressed to make sure that I am fully committed to supporting this transition successfully without any interruption to services. You have this commitment. I believe I'm gleaning from the discussion today is that it would be righteous and appropriate for the Human Trafficking Commission to issue a letter with our full support to Community Solutions, indicating our partnership and also our desired outcome, that this would be a successful, supported transition for the continued growth of the coalition. Does that sound okay to everybody? I'm going to look around for consensus. Fantastic. With that, without any more lights, I'm going to go to Camille. Are there any members of the public who wish to provide public comment?
We have 3 requests to speak in person.
In person. Fantastic. 1 minute, because that's what we've been given to every public commenter. And according to the lawyers, I have to keep it consistent.
Yes. All right. And I'll call your names. As I do, please line up in the center. Rosemary Everett, Beth, and Jessica Jenkins.
Mary Everett, Sister of the Holy Names, and volunteer for South Bay Coalition. I've had the privilege of working with Sharon and Perla for 10 years, and the tremendous breadth and scope of the outreach and training and raising awareness of human trafficking among a wide variety of entities in the 9 counties of the Bay Area is due to their superb coordination. It is in the interrelationships they sponsored among the members of these agencies that accomplished this effective outreach. I pray the transition will go smoothly, and it is critical for the county to ensure there is continuing coordination and budgeting for human trafficking efforts at all levels. What has been established must continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Beth Dillon. My pronouns are they, them, and I am extremely grateful to be the coordinator for the South Bay Coalition and Human Trafficking. I have worked in this field for over 18 years. I have consulted and worked with agencies across the country and across the globe, and I say that so you understand when I say that I have never worked for a coalition or, quite frankly, a county that has been this intentional and impactful on this issue. From maintaining that we will always collaborate across agencies and industries and across issues, realizing that our survivors, we don't experience this issue in a silo. And we don't also start and end our stories in your county, and so therefore our response can't do that either. Grateful for the vision that started with Perla and for the past decade has been carried on by Sharon. I can tell you today, I would not be here, even as just, since I've come on as an employee, without this coalition. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jessica Jenkins. I manage the Immigration Legal Services Program at Bay Area Legal Aid. And as Commissioner Silvertobe said earlier, I also sit with her on the Legal Services Committee of the Coalition. So at Bay Legal, we represent human trafficking survivors in 7 counties around the Bay Area, and we've been a longtime partner of the Coalition. We really value the Coalition's work, and as an agency that does this work in other counties, including Contra Costa Perla, we can speak to this coalition's leadership in the regional effort to combat human trafficking, especially during this year's major sporting events, as you've been hearing about today. So we very much look forward to continuing this collaboration going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public comment.
Wonderful. And Sharon and Perla, thank you so much. Our office co-hosted 10 watch parties during the summer of football, and you were there at every single event, making sure that we had safety for the Bay. At this time, I'd like to, looking for a motion to receive the report. So moved by Commissioner Green. Looking for a second.
Second.
Second by Co-Chair Rosen. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. Motion passes. Report is received. And with the Commissioner Flores vacating the seat, alternate Commissioner Sharon Denoa will be promoted to a commissioner seat and will be sitting at the next commissioner meeting. Thank you, Commissioner Denoa, for taking on this additional role. Thank you. And now we will move to item 8, the last item on our agenda, and then we're going to have a big photo and flowers and all the great stuff. Is to receive verbal report from the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority relating to Safety for the Bay campaign during the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Commissioner Green?
Yes, thank you so much. And I'm sure the audience and the commissioners recognize that I will be extremely brief, given what I'm up against. And definitely recognize all of the heartfelt comments towards you, Perla. And our agencies work very closely together to make history. We've done some extraordinary things in partnership. And I look forward to those relationships to continue, and you've left a wonderful legacy with the team that you've helped to build. So very briefly, I'm VTA's Chief for System Safety and Security, and I was asked to just give a few remarks in relation to how we fared during the FIFA World Cup games. And I would say, without exaggeration or embellishing, it was absolutely extraordinary. The amount of people that we moved, the manner in which we moved them, with the courtesy, with the level of safety, and I would say proper custody, if you will, was extraordinary. But what was affixed to all of those moves was the Safety for the Bay campaign. And I think if there was one lesson learned from that whole experience is that planning earlier would definitely be more effective. For us to be able to have gone back 2 years and built this out, it would have been even more extraordinary. So I'm taking that message. But the fact that we were able to have over 200,000 people exposed to that awareness and exposed to that messaging, to me, is just a tremendous success. So we look forward to continuing this sort of campaign. It doesn't have to end with major events. It should continue. I'll continue to partner with you and to make it happen. So with that, I'm not going to say anything further. I think that's under a minute, I hope. And if there's any request for more information and data on the successful metrics, we'd love to share that with you as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Green. I believe that your work and the work of VTA speaks volumes. The world was watching, and we showed them what we were made of. Thank you. I'm going to turn to my commissioners for any questions, comments, or feedback for Commissioner Green. Yes, Commissioner Silvertaub.
Yes, I want to thank you for the work of VTA. I know that the South Bay Coalition has partnered with you and have had focus groups and trainings and scenarios, et cetera, that were very, very effective. I also want to thank you for continuing the NEO, the new employee orientation training that I have done for 11 years since the last Super Bowl. And the last one I did was a couple weeks ago. A huge number of transit operators, people that work in the office, very receptive, engaged, and it shows a real commitment. And I always point out how supportive you are. And I talk about the hero bus driver a number of years ago and how supportive you were of his efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no lights on. Are there any members of the public who wish to provide public comment on this item?
There are no requests to speak.
Okay, and at that, I look for a motion to receive report. So moved by Gilda of the Public Defender's Office. And second?
Second.
Second by Co-Chair Rosen. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Report is received. I technically adjourn this meeting to our next meeting on Friday, November 6th at 12:30 p.m. in the Board of Supervisors chambers. With the hammering of my gavel, it is done, and then we're going to celebrate you, Perla. Continue celebrating you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have all the commissioners and the advocates. We're going to stand here in front of this podium facing this sign, okay, the seal, and then we're going to have someone up here taking a photo of us. It's going to be a big group photo, okay? Are you ready to move? All right, yes, let's do it.